Perhaps one of the most manipulative characters in Final Fantasy, Ultima has been the mastermind behind many of the events that have occurred throughout the political landscape of the twins, forcing nations against each other and loved ones betraying each other for personal and selfish gains. In fact, Ultima cares little for the affairs of humans, for he believes that they will all be annihilated in his new world once Mythos is complete. Hence why his main focus has been on Clive and making sure that he reaches that status. In fact, since he was the one who created humanity, he believes that he has the right to destroy them, and this new world will be for his race, the Ultima Collective. He made one crucial mistake. He decided to go to sleep. From a personal standpoint, I get it. Sleep is for the weak. Why would one need to go to sleep? It takes time off of possibly chasing your dreams and goals. Who needs rest? Now, I'm obviously kidding. We all need our sleep. Even those who proclaim themselves as gods, apparently. However, Ultima's decision to go to sleep was a bit more consequential, as it forced humans to think for themselves and develop the will and freedom to make whatever choices they want, which is definitely not part of Ultima's blueprints. So when he woke up, he attempted to reverse this, to a very brutal plan in which his species would be revived by the use of rays, and that humans would have no place, but to make his plan easier, he would have them turn Akashic, a form of humans that are full of ether energy to the point that they are transcendent in the eyes of Ultima and his followers and are removed of the ability of free will. Which leads us to the topic of today's video. One of the biggest events of the game was after the Battle of Twinside in an attempt to calm Bahamut after he snapped following the death of his father. When Dion, Clive, and Joshua engaged in battle, the latter two were able to defeat the dominant of Bahamut and eventually come to his senses. Realizing that 4 of the Mother Crystals were now gone, Ultima revealed an ace card, the spell Primogenesis, which had a massive impact on the twins. Now, we know that in the world of Valisthea, the use of magic has its own unique set of rules, with not just anyone being able to cast them and many requiring the use of crystals to do so. But there are even some aspects of life that cannot be done through the means of simple magic, with the ability to revive very difficult to do, and which is the origins, get it, of Ultima's grand plan. However, there is another massive spell that he casts, and that is what we will cover in today's lore video. So sit back, relax, and tune in as we go through the effects and the overall impact of the Primogenesis spell. After the battle at Twinside, we see a scene of Ultima on top of one of the highest pillars and proceeds to cast a spell that consists of a ball of cloud that would spread throughout Valisthea. This spell had multiple effects. The first one was filling the skies with purple clouds in which no sun or moon could shine upon the world, meaning the days and nights were non-existent and it was nothing more than a machination of Ultima. Now, the use of the changing of the skies is a significant indicator of the end times, or to put it in simpler gaming terms, a big event that the main antagonist is about to do. This has actually become one of the staples of the Final Fantasy series, and I am always a big fan of it. In the case of Ultima, he uses this spell, as listed in the active time lore, in order to return humanity to its original form, hence the origins of the name. The word Primogenesis comes from the word primo or primo meaning first, and the Greek word genesis meaning origin, source, beginning, or birth. To simplify it, it was meant to return human to their original form long before their current incarnations in the events of Final Fantasy XVI. When Ultima first created humans, he did so with the intention of the humans just serving their gods and performing to their god's will. He also had another reason: to create the Mythos vessel he sought to possess in its strongest form in order to perform rays on his own species. After realizing that it was gonna take a very long time before that would happen, he decided to slumber. Because of the lack of guidance and answers from Ultima, the humans decided to create their own paths. Here was where the will was born, one of the biggest obstacles to Ultima's plan. I can go further into this because I think it's such an interesting concept to implement human will and consciousness into a story element. That was very clever on Square Enix's part. But essentially, Primogenesis causes all of the ether around the twins to disperse. So instead of having it concentrated through the Mother Crystals and the bearers who had the natural ability to perform magic, it was spread throughout the lands, mainly through the clouds that were formed, which is known as Archie, or Arc. Sorry, I pronounced it wrong. I'm not sure how to pronounce this. Interestingly enough, dominants were safe from this spell's effect, but it could likely be due to them having a purpose to feed Mythos with their energy. If they had lost their abilities, then it would nullify Mythos' ability to become the perfect vessel for Ultima. So it is possible that he created this spell with the intention of protecting the dominants from its effects. It is not stated directly, but I think because of how widespread the Arch is, I think pretty much seeing it throughout all of Valisthea, it is possible that the Ether was much more spread out, which would explain why Barris no longer had the ability to perform magic and the crystals were pretty much obsolete. Although the destruction of the respective mother crystals from which they were made could also be a possible explanation as to why that is. Due to the unpredictable nature of this spell to the Ether, Ether floods would form around places that are normally safe, and anyone who was exposed to these floods would become Akashic, aka their bodies absorbing an unnatural amount of Ether to the point that they become possessed by it. It was during the Battle of Twinside and Clive's encounter with Barnabas for the first time that Ultima realized that his biggest resistance to his plan coming together was the will bound in consciousness within Clive, thus allowing him to choose against his god's plans. I think even without the use of this spell, the destruction of the mother crystals have already caused discord and chaos throughout Valisthea because of all of its nation structures were always revolved around the crystals, which would grant them magical abilities. The after effects of the spell just made the situation much worse, that in addition to the chaos already caused by the disappearance of the mother crystals, the lands throughout Valisthea became hoarded with Akashic and would continue to wreak even more havoc to any surviving humans from the spell. It is also the reason why the entirety of Ash was nothing but Akashic when Clive reaches the continent near the end of the game. Because Barnabas is a descendant from the Circle of Malleus, an ancient and forgotten faith that worshipped Ultima, he allowed it to happen. But furthermore, he also obtained the ability to control them, which is why the Akashic were more than just mere zombies. They were able to walk in ranks just like a real army. The only difference is that they act on hate and rage, and that unpredictability made them even more dangerous than human armies. In addition, the blocking of the sun and the moon made it difficult to grow crops, so overall this spell really just made a massive mess throughout Valisthea that Clive and his crew had to clean up. Which they eventually did, but I think that the use of the spell was still a pretty cool way to turn the tides of the story, and that it became less about the politics and conflicts of nation, and the real antagonist would finally reveal himself, despite us having to already fight and come across various dangerous antagonists up until this point. What did you think of the implementation of Primogenesis in the story of Final Fantasy XVI? Let me know in the comment section below, and let me know what other topics or games you would like me to cover in the channel. By the making of this video, I've just finished through the DLC for Final Fantasy XVI, and I'm about to finish the game's story entirely, so expect more videos coming from this game. And if there are any other Final Fantasy games that you want me to play next, let me know in the comment section below and I'll get right into those for more lore videos. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like and consider subscribing to the channel. It would be greatly appreciated. Other than that, this is Enzo signing out, and I will see you all soon.